An 800-year-old Viking axe head can be pulled from a Danish bog, rinsed in a stream, and still hold a functional edge. Meanwhile, your shiny new garden shovel, left outside for 2 winters, is already pitted with orange, flaky rust. This isn't exaggeration, it's real, documented by archaeologists who study medieval artifacts. What medieval blacksmiths created was not magic. It was an advanced understanding of chemistry, material, and environment that we have almost completely forgotten. Modern tools are designed for convenience and planned obsolescence, but medieval iron was built to endure centuries. And today, you're going to see exactly why. Trust me, after this video, you'll understand why modern steel fails so quickly and medieval iron still survives. Method 1. Slag stringers, the internal shield. Medieval iron contained tiny veins of slag, a mixture of silica and iron oxides, woven throughout the metal like invisible reinforcements. These slag stringers often made up 2 to 8% of the metal, creating internal barriers that slowed the spread of corrosion. Imagine moisture trying to snake through the metal. It hits these walls and slows to a crawl. Modern steel, in contrast, contains less than 0.1% slag, and that perfect uniformity becomes its fatal flaw. Once rust penetrates, it spreads like wildfire. Archaeologists have uncovered Viking axes from waterlogged bogs, over 600 years old, with interiors so intact that they could be sharpened and used again. This is the secret modern textbooks never mention. The dark, oily sheen of centuries-old iron, the subtle weight difference between slag-laden and pure steel, the faint, earthy smell when iron is pulled from soil, all these aspects contributed unknowingly to the metal's survival. Then versus now. Modern tools are rust-prone, brittle, and designed to fail, while medieval iron could outlast entire civilizations. Method 2. Bloomery forging, slow heat, long life. The secret begins in the forge. Medieval blacksmiths used bloomery furnaces that never fully melted iron, reaching temperatures around 1,200 degrees Celsius, far below modern blast furnaces at 1,530 degrees Celsius. The iron turned into a spongy mass called a bloom, containing both iron and slag. Blacksmiths hammered, folded, and reheated it for hours, often days, aligning fibers and consolidating carbon zones. Sparks flew with every strike, mingling with thick, resinous charcoal smoke. The rhythm of hammering, heat radiating from the forge, and the smell of burning wood formed a sensory environment that contributed to the process. Modern steel, melted completely and cast rapidly, lacks these natural internal protections. Archaeologists have discovered 13th century nails in English stables, still structurally sound after centuries, illustrating the strength created by slow forging. And here's what modern engineers struggle to reproduce: the way heat, labor, and time created self-protecting iron. Then, verse now. Industrial tools may be uniform and shiny, but they fracture and rust within years, whereas medieval iron aged stronger and tougher over centuries. Method 3. Slow forging verse. Fast manufacturing patience was a key ingredient. Medieval iron cooled slowly, allowing tight, dense grain structures to form. Rapid cooling in modern manufacturing locks micro-fractures into the steel, which become the first points where rust takes hold. Picture a modern chisel snapping after hitting a concrete floor. Those microfractures are invisible but fatal. Medieval tools could bend without cracking and resist corrosion simultaneously. Archaeological examples include Viking spearheads preserved in bogs that could still flex without breaking. the heat radiating from the slowly cooling metal, the weight of a hammer in hand, the sparks flying in rhythmic bursts. All these processes were part of creating endurance. This is where the story gets crazy. Modern steel can't mimic centuries of careful forging. Then versus now. Fast production gave us volume, not durability, and modern tools pay the price. Method 4. Carbon, the unexpected flexibility. Carbon distribution in medieval iron was uneven, intentionally or not. Some areas absorbed carbon, forming hard, edge-retaining steel zones. Others stayed low carbon, remaining soft and flexible. Carbon percentages often ranged between 0.2 to 0.8%, creating a balance that prevented cracks and slowed rust penetration. Uniform modern steel lacks this defensive variability. Archaeologists have documented 10th century Scandinavian swords that still retain hardness at the edges while remaining resilient in the core. Here's the part modern metallurgists still debate. This uneven carbon distribution acted as a natural armor. The cool touch of a centuries-old sword, the subtle patina forming where high carbon zones meet low carbon zones, and the faint metallic smell after centuries underground. Then versus now, modern steel is predictable but brittle. Medieval iron was adaptive and enduring. Method 5. Oils, fats, and leather. The everyday preservation. Medieval tools weren't just forged, they were cared for in daily life. Blacksmiths' hands coated with tallow, swords in leather scabbards, and axes in oiled wooden handles all contributed to natural preservation. Even the smoke from charcoal fires deposited phenolic compounds, adding another layer of protection. Archaeological finds include Viking axes preserved in their handles, maintaining edge sharpness centuries later. Archaeologists were stunned when they saw oily residues embedded in metal after 600 years. Imagine running your hand over a centuries-old handle, feeling the subtle tackiness of absorbed oils, smelling the faint, earthy charcoal aroma. Then, versus now, modern synthetic oils evaporate quickly, leaving tools defenseless. Method 6. Hardskin, the mystery surface layer. Hardskin is the crown jewel of medieval metallurgy. Over repeated hammering and reheating, slag and carbon migrated to the surface, forming a dense layer between 100 to 300 microns thick. This layer resists oxygen and moisture penetration, essentially self-sealing the metal. The more a tool was used, the tougher this layer became. Unlike modern coatings that flake or peel, hard skin matured from within. Modern engineers still cannot reproduce this at industrial scale. Archaeological evidence includes medieval nails in London, showing hard skin surviving over 700 years. This is the part modern engineers hate to admit. Our best steel cannot match this natural defense. The faint, dark sheen, the subtle weight difference, and the almost imperceptible smoothness of centuries-old metal. Then versus now, modern steel corrodes, medieval iron strengthens with age. Method 7. Storage that protects storage mattered. Medieval tools were often kept above hearths, where smoke deposited protective creosote. Workshops had relatively stable temperatures, avoiding rapid condensation cycles that modern garages suffer. Archaeological examples include 13th century nails stored in stables that remained intact for centuries. Imagine the smoky warmth of a smithy, the subtle tang of burnt wood, and the thick, dry air protecting the metal. Micro hook. And here's what modern garages don't understand. The environment itself preserved these tools. Then versus now, modern storage exposes metal to moisture cycles, accelerating decay. Why durability disappeared, industrialization replaced patience with speed. Bloomery iron took days. Modern steel poured by the ton is produced in hours. Marketing convinced people that shiny, uniform steel was advanced, ignoring durability. Modern tools are often designed for 5 to 10-year lifespans, built to be replaced rather than inherited. Medieval tools were crafted for endurance, often passed down generations. We call them primitive, but they built tools that outlived empires. What we have now can barely last a decade. Medieval people were not primitive. They mastered chemistry, environmental control, and material science through experience. Their tools survive centuries, sometimes underwater or buried in bogs, while modern steel corrodes in years. In our pursuit of speed and convenience, we lost knowledge of durability. Perhaps the uncomfortable truth is this: they were wiser than us. And in some ways, we are the ones who forgot how to make things that truly last. Comment: built to last. If you believe durability is more important than convenience. Have you ever seen a modern tool rust too quickly? Share your story. And remember, medieval metal may be centuries old, but it still has lessons modern society desperately needs.